Tonight, we honor the recipients who are really the fulfillment of that progress in the arts and humanities. We have scholars, we have historians, philosophers, a poet, a painter, a sculptor, a musician, and an actor. I think we can say tonight that America is not afraid of grace and beauty, and we thank our distinguished recipients. Each year, we ask a colleague in the arts to speak with us on this occasion. And tonight, I'm especially pleased to introduce a very good friend. He is an actor, a musician, and an author. His world is motion pictures, television and the theater, musicals and drama, as well as radio and children's books. He's received 2 Golden Globes, 4 Emmys, the Tony Award for The Sweet Smell of Success, and he's been nominated twice for Oscars for Terms of Endearment in The World According to Garp. Please welcome John Lithgow. John?
Thank you, George, for that wonderful introduction and for speaking so eloquently on the very subject that I'm going to speak on. I'm absolutely delighted to be here tonight. Very, very honored to be invited to be your keynote speaker, especially in this extraordinary building, the first time I've ever been in it, the first of many times. What a beautiful place. Tomorrow at midday, I've written my remarks. I would love to be the kind of speaker who speaks eloquently off the cuff, delights all of you, but I wanted to drink lots of wine with supper, so I've written it all down. Tomorrow at the White House, President Barack Obama will present to 15 Americans and 2 American institutions 2 of the highest honors this country bestows. To all of you honorees here with us tonight, we congratulate you. We take pride in what you do and what you have done, and we celebrate you. Sadly, in spite of your extraordinary achievements, there are only a few of you who routinely hear the sound of loud cheers and raucous applause. Mr. Watts, Mr. Rosen, Mr. Tillis, and Mr. Pacino. So let's give a huge hand and a raucous cheer to the whole group, the winners of this year's National Medal of Arts and National Medal of Humanities. Everybody, as loud as you can. For you. You weren't supposed to be clapping. Every year I perk up at the news of these medals. Like the Kennedy Center Honors Gala, the moment gives me a little spasm of pleasure. Yes, I cry out to myself. Washington is paying attention to these essential areas of American life. Artists and humanists are getting their due. That pleasure is coupled with a certain sense of relief. The ceremonies help counteract my lurking anxiety that in a capital weighed down with the appalling pressures of global conflict, economic stagnation, and pitched warfare between 2 political parties, the arts and humanities too often get short shrift. Celebrations like this are tinged with a kind of rueful irony. Could it be that they are so uplifting because they are so rare? Uh-oh, I hear you say. Is this going to be a polemic? Have they engaged another whiner to harangue us about DC Philistines and the ill treatment of the national endowments, well, fear not. In spite of the close proximity to the White House and the Houses of Congress, I am in a celebratory state of mind and in no mood to lecture U.S. policymakers. I do have a few strong opinions to air about American arts and humanities, but they are scrupulously cheerful and optimistic ones. When George invited me to speak tonight, acting on behalf of the President's Committee on the Arts and Humanities, I was a more appropriate choice than they even knew. The fact is, I have been steeped in these subjects up to my eyeballs for the last several months. And why is that, you ask? Well, let me tell you. 2 years ago, in one of the rare, recent, bipartisan acts of Congress, 2 senators and 2 congressmen, 2 each, from both parties, invited the American Academy of Arts and Sciences to form a commission on the humanities. The charge of this proposed commission was, quote, to advance a national conversation about the value and importance of the humanities to the nation. The impetus behind the idea may have been provided by some troubling recent trends around the country. In the vast population of secondary school students, verbal SAT scores, literacy rates, and the basic understanding of history have all been showing signs of decline. Background data provided by the Commission concludes a Cassandra-like cry of alarm. Quote, the ability of individuals to write, read, and narrative their lives is in peril. Now, I will not depress you with gloomy statistics in support of this bleak statement, but you get the drift, and it's not good news for American arts and humanities. There is good news, though. Congress, at the urging of those 4 stalwart legislators, has acted to seek ways that the nation can address these negative trends. We all owe the 4 of them a debt of gratitude, and they too deserve to be named out loud. Senators Lamar Alexander and Mark Warner, and Representatives David Price and Tom Petrie. Give them a hand. The Commission's assignment was to generate 10 succinct initiatives to promote the cause of the humanities and to present them to Congress later this year with persuasive arguments for putting them into practice. Of course, given the current state of politics and the economy, this charge had an unwritten, implicit proviso, don't ask for any money. Recommending 10 such actions, but asking for no money to carry them out, is roughly equivalent to designing a 10-story building and asking for no tools to build it with. But the Academy patriotically embraced its mission and set out to accomplish it. Accordingly, last year, a 50-person Blue Ribbon Commission was impaneled. One of its members, by the way, will get one of the medals tomorrow. Several others have won them in the past, and one of them was the secretary of the Smithsonian Institutions. The group was made up of major figures from academia, business, philanthropy, cultural institutions, government, and the media, with a smattering of 4 or 5 people from the creative arts. To my surprise and bemusement, I was included in this latter category. So far, the Commission has held 2 of its 3 weekend-long meetings. At both of these meetings, I was the only artiste to actually show up, if you don't count the formidable George Lucas, and I was dazzled by the gathering of brainy luminaries all around me. At first, I sat silently among them, listening to their polished phrases and their penetrating insights. In their midst, I felt like a sullen schoolboy in the slow learners group. Finally, in a morning breakout session of 10 commission members, I summoned up the courage to speak. My bottled up thoughts tumbled out in a kind of passionate blurt. The humanities are indispensable to a rounded human being, I cried. We should declare that fact loud and clear. Democracy can only function with an educated citizenry grounded in the humanities. People have forgotten that the humanities are bound up with their lives. We have to remind them of that. The job has fallen to us. The humanities in education are the wellspring of empathy, cooperation, civil discourse, collaboration in a polarized world. They create a habit of learning that lasts a lifetime. They are a source of self-knowledge. Life without them is drab and joyless. Joy, that's the word, joy. The arts and humanities instill joy. Or words to that effect. To my mortification, that afternoon, this impassioned peroration was quoted verbatim and at length to the full commission. In response, one of the more cool-headed and hard-nosed commission members dryly pointed out that an American worker without a job might be singularly unimpressed with my belief in the joy of humanistic pursuits. Another member, a state governor and a seasoned veteran of governmental policy wars, suggested that in any argument before Congress in favor of expanded federal programs in the humanities, the word joy is probably best left out. As if chastened by a pair of stern schoolmasters, I deferred to their better judgment, but I was unrepentant. In fact, I was secretly pleased that I'd livened up the proceedings and unembarrassed by my newly minted status as the Commission's comic relief. Because in fact, I steadfastly believed everything I said that morning. I believe that civil discourse, self-knowledge, empathy, the habit of learning, and yes, the capacity for joy are indeed learned skills, and that they can be most effectively taught to young people through the arts and humanities. And I believe most fervently that the health of a democracy absolutely depends on these qualities in the grown-up electorate. A lot of this conviction comes from my own educational background. In a peripatetic childhood, I went to 8 different small-town public schools in Ohio, Massachusetts, and New Jersey. Surprisingly enough, those far-flung schools provided me with a marvelous, broadly based secondary education, one that sent me on a clear trajectory to a first-rate college by the time I was 17. This was an earlier era, of course, when public schooling was not nearly as embattled and cash-strapped as it is today, when most high schools offered classes in art, music, and multiple foreign languages, when testing was not yet paramount in everyone's mind, when school standards were not yet the subject of pitched political battles, and when no one had yet coined that cold, forbidding, and ubiquitous acronym for science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM. Ah, yes, STEM. The very word gives me the screaming wimwams. I'm a humanist, you see. I left behind science, technology, engineering, and math many years ago. I was never much good at all that stuff to begin with, and whatever I did learn, I've long since forgotten. Nowadays, it's all I can do to calculate the tip. Now, don't get me wrong. I fully appreciate the vital importance of STEM in every child's education, as indeed it was important in mine. For our economy to grow, for our nation to stay competitive, and for our young people to get good work in a daunting job market, our educational system must excel in each of the STEM subject areas. But to my mind, the arts and humanities are every bit as important as STEM, and a balance must be struck. The very word STEM provides me with an apt poetic metaphor to drive home my point. Let me offer it to you with abject apologies to our poet medalists, John Ashbery and Rita Dove. Picture a flower. big, bright flower in full bloom. The flower's stem is, well, STEM. Science, technology, engineering, and math. It is the superstructure, the infrastructure, the support system of the flower itself. And the arts and humanities, why, they're the blossom, of course. The source of the flower's beauty, fragrance, and identity, the visible mark of its health, and the wherewithal for the flower to reproduce itself. The stem is functional, strong, and essential. But pare away the blossom, and the stem has no purpose, no function, no value. In time, it will wither and die. It cannot survive the loss. So much for STEM. I know, I've taken this way too far. I've not only strained the metaphor, I practically strangled it to death. But here's the point, and I just bet that it stays with you. The blossom is what we love about a flower. It's what inspires us. It's what engages our senses and our emotions. It is the reason we plant the flower in the first place. And yes, like the arts and the humanities, it's what gives us joy. Joy. We're back to that word. By now, it's practically become the theme of my speech. Joy in a fretful world. We are living through perilous times. The last few years have seen our country's most destructive terror attack, the fog of war, the gravest economic conditions since the Depression, natural disasters of incomprehensible magnitude, accompanied by the ominous drumbeat of climate change. These events and conditions beget fear. Fear deadens our spirit and darkens our national mood. It begets denial, mutual suspicion, and divisiveness. Fear polarizes us and paralyzes us. You see evidence of it everywhere you look, in every newspaper, newscast, blog, and most blatantly, in every political campaign ad on TV. You see it everywhere, but not here. Not here, and not tonight. And why not? Well, just look at who we are honoring this evening and what we are honoring them for. The arts and humanities are our bulwark against fear. Tonight's honorees don't avoid harsh truths. They engage them. They don't divide us from each other. They connect us and reveal to us our common ground. Their gifts to us are a mixed bag, to be sure. But what a glorious mixed bag it is. And what gifts. Think of Andre Watts plumbing the depths of Schumann and Chopin. Think of Rita Dove, poet laureate and passionate ballroom dancer. Think of Mel Tillis, crooning Coca-Cola Cowboy at the Grand Ole Opry. Think of Anthony Appiah confronting and dissecting the politics of race. Charles Rosen breathing new life into the music of Franz Liszt. Will Barnett defying age by creating beautiful images late into his 90s. Amartya Sen wielding economics, the dismal science, as a weapon in the global war on poverty and famine. And think of film star Al Pacino, once again returned to Broadway last year in The Merchant of Venice, and performing the best Shylock that I, for one, have ever seen. What do these vastly different Americans and all their co-honorees have in common? They are men and women who give us hope, who broaden our thinking, who enlarge our hearts, who stimulate and delight us, who heighten our sense of ourselves and illuminate us about the lives of others, who challenge us, who educate us, and who give us the rare gift of joy. Think of all of them. The recipients of the 2011 National Medal of Arts and Humanities rejoice. Thank you.